Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we have a replay sent to us by community contributor the Hive Hound, and as you can see the game is almost over. So hopefully you guys weren't anticipating a long video here, but if you go broadside in front of an Edinburgh at close range you're gonna regret it. Especially in a cruiser. One down, one to go. Can Hive Hound carry his team? He's already got 103,000 damage done, 3 kills. Can he get a 4th? Well, let's be real. We all know the answer to this question. That Mogami's about to sail around the corner, broadside on, and just absolutely begging for it. And the Edinburgh is going to pull through and just give it to him. Got 2 citadels in the first one, 4 citadels on the second one, and down he goes. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed. This was a great video, right? Make sure you punch the like. Oh, okay. Now, you guys clearly ought to know that this isn't the full video. There is another clip coming that is a full game I want to showcase. But 2,766 base XP, 4 kills, top of the leaderboard. You can't beat it, right? Well, we'll see about that. Hive has sent this in with the promise that this is going to be an absolute doozy of a game in Edinburgh. And he's going to showcase just why he thinks this is the best cruiser in the game. I don't know if he thinks that this is the best cruiser in the game, but I do know that he recently started playing the British cruisers and he really enjoys them. So, let's take a look at how he ends up playing. Now, what is the main thing about the British cruisers that you got to worry about? Well, they don't have HE, but they have very good AP. So, you don't really, other than a couple of them like the Belfast and the Dene, you don't, or maybe the Dene also only has AP. I can't remember. But anyway, as you can see, we got a Scharnhorst out here, broadside on, just, you know, giving it to him right now. So might as well take it. And so we're going to just keep nickeling and diming him. It's what light cruisers do. And make no mistake, the Edinburgh is a light cruiser, even though it is pretty tanky for a light cruiser. It's not quite, in my opinion, I preferred the Fiji over the Edinburgh. That's why I don't play the Edinburgh very much. But after watching him play, I still prefer the Baltimore. But this game is going to showcase just why this ship is so dangerous. And we're going to get up here into the center of the map and start capturing B early on. Our destroyer friend here has been kind enough to drop a smoke screen for us. Now, we do have sonar on this ship, and he is absolutely using it. And so, anytime you're in a smoke screen, hey, look, there's a destroyer for us. And this AP isn't normal AP. It's very good at killing destroyers. Unlike most AP that just overpins, this stuff will obliterate. Well, I say that, he bounced 6 rounds off of lightning. But that lightning's not long for this world. He's in a world of trouble, and he gets the kill right there as the Benson ahead of him torps the lightning. Like, I don't understand it. Why a Benson would get into a torp fight with a lightning instead of just shooting him from the get-go. That guy would have been dead a long time ago. But I digress. It worked. Lightning's dead. Benson's still alive. However, I think Hive Hound is starting to feel some type of way about the fact that there's an Iowa closing in on his position. We already know there was a Scharnhorst out there as well who looks to be doubling back. But if the Iowa's going to go broadside to you, any battleship that goes broadside onto this, you may not get citadeled by this thing, but it's going to get a lot of damage every single salvo. It's not doing citadel damage to you, but the amount of just damage per salvo that this thing can get, because it's so accurate, is pretty disgusting. You're going to be hitting easily 9,000 damage salvos at range with this thing if they're broadside on and just absolutely begging for it, like this Iowa is. And as you can see, we're getting solid damage. That wasn't 9,000 damage that time. I think the Iowa's starting to turn in towards us, so we're starting to get a lot of bounces. But just as a heads up, if I do one of these videos where I talk about how another person plays, if I'm overly critical, it is only because they literally sent this in so that we could commentate it. And you guys know that I'm as critical of my gameplay as I am anybody else's. So, very good salvo there, getting some plunging fire into the superstructure of the Iowa. Iowa then decides he wants to turn the other cheek. And, I mean, I don't know why people do this. Like, if you get your butt kicked one direction, why do you turn 180 degrees back the other direction and get your butt kicked that way? Makes no sense to me. But Iowa goes dark because obviously Hive is in a smoke screen. He can no longer detect the Iowa, so he's going to have to require somebody else to detect the Iowa unless the Iowa fires his main batteries. Because if the Iowa fires his main batteries, he's going to light up like a Christmas tree. Unfortunately for the Iowa, our teammates over there at sea just lit him up like a Christmas tree anyway. So that means that Hive gets the pleasure of just sitting here and dinking him for pretty good damage. Another 3,000 damage, 4,000 damage salvo there. And you can see he's still shooting into the superstructure, even though the superstructure's not giving him as much damage as it did initially. It's called damage saturation. It is a thing. And I'll go into that at some other point. I think I've already talked about it a few times, but you can see he's starting to think, okay, torpedo time. And you'll notice on the map that the Scharnhorst's last known position was directly ahead of Edinburgh here, and he's pushing towards him. Now, Iowa does the smart thing, turns back away, but that's going to leave him open to being shot, and that's a much better salvo. Our smoke screen runs out. Scharnhorst is now detected. Hive just fired his torpedoes off the right side of the ship, so he's got to make sure that when he goes up to this, because there's really, gets smacked right there by the Scharnhorst. There's really only one way that this ends, and that is he needs to torp this Scharnhorst, or he dies, okay? But the Scharnhorst also has torpedoes, and where are they about now? I mean, why would a Scharnhorst be spotted broadside to you right now? Hey, look, torpedoes! Ouch. Took a torp right there on the nose. Not that big a deal. It's a German torpedo. They're not the hardest hitting torpedoes in the world. But he only took one. He had to use his damage con though. And now that he's gotten in close, he's got to hurry up and throw these torps out there to make sure he doesn't screw the pooch. Just barely able to get those torps off before it got to the minimum arming distance. Now here's where some of the mistakes start to happen with Hive. He takes some unnecessary damage here because he's shooting at the waterline of a Scharnhorst. The Scharnhorst easily has the best armor of any battleship in the game. Like, it is ridiculously tanky. Make no mistake about it. The Scharnhorst has the most stupid armor in the game for a battleship. And shooting the waterline at close range with a low caliber gun, not gonna get it done. As you saw with him just shattering rounds. But then the Wichita! This guy's clearly playing. He's not AFK, but what are you doing? You just watched this guy murder two of your teammates and was clearly heading in your direction, but you were so tunnel visioned that you sitting there broadside to the man. Now, again, this is where, see how he hits just behind the conning tower at the waterline and gets Citadel. Now watch here. He's not actually getting those Citadels because he's shooting too far forward. When you find the sweet spot on a ship, you have to maintain where that is. Now in the heat of battle it can be difficult. There's no doubt about it. But as you can see, he was shooting way too far forward to hit the Citadel in those last few salvos there. But with the superior rate of fire that this thing offers, like it's gonna be a paddling. And the fact that the Wichita never switched to AP to try to fight him back, even though if he had, Hive would have had a very bad day. Because the Wichita doesn't have the normal super heavy AP that the Baltimore has. But in short time here, he has managed to pull out 157,000 damage done with only 3 torpedo hits in this entire mess. And then along comes the Helena, or Helena. Depending on who you talk to, it's either or. The locals that talk about Helena, that's the way they pronounce it. Everybody else pretty much says Helena, but it's Helena for the locals. Anyway, he's going to get into a fight. Now, this Helena makes a huge, huge strategic blunder. Okay? First of all, he's shooting armor-piercing at a bow-tanking light cruiser. A very tanky light cruiser, but a bow-tanking cruiser, and you're shooting AP. Hive doesn't have a choice. He doesn't get to switch to HE. But the Helena does. And, not only that, he's closing the gap with the Edinburgh, which is something you just don't do. Why? Because he has torpedoes! He has already whooped your team's booty because of this, and you're just giving it to him again. But This game is still up for grabs. Anybody could win this at this point. So you gotta give it, and you can see Hive still shooting into the bow armor of the Helena. He's just not got the penetration to pull it off. And luckily, he gets these torpedoes just in time to avoid the ramming attempt of the Helena. And that gives him 188,000 damage done. Game's not over though, guys. We have 2 destroyers. They're engaged with a battleship. I don't know what the battleship is currently, but they're engaged with the battleship. Hive is going into Charlie to make sure that he gets this capture. That'll stop the Reds from gaining points. It'll also maintain the points lead, if both the destroyers get themselves killed, which is a possibility. You never know. One good battleship player, and he takes down the Kagero. That's a huge, huge advantage. Now that the Japanese destroyer is gone, all that's left is a Le Terrible. Unfortunately for the battleship, being in a fight with 2 destroyers at that kind of range, you're going to be taking torpedoes. So kudos to the battleship for fighting it out. But Hive, Edinburgh, 188,000 damage, 3,700 base XP, 3 kills, top of the leaderboard. Not too shabby. So hopefully you guys like this. Let me make sure that I will put a link in the description down below to Hive Hound's channel. Make sure you guys go over there, watch a couple of his videos. If you like what he's doing, make sure you hit that subscribe button for him and jump him up. Make sure you leave a comment on his videos as well. Just say reporting from Spartan or something like that, just to kind of rub it in a little bit. Anyway, if you like what we're doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.